Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am Krista Burns, your host here at the Nebraska Library Commission, and I have with me this morning, as you can see, Michael Sauers, our Technology Innovation Librarian here at the Commission, and today's NCompass Live is his monthly Tech Talk. NCompass Live is the Nebraska Library Commission's weekly online event where we cover any sort of commission activities or anything that may be of interest to Nebraska librarians across the state. We have commission staff, like Michael, that do presentations, and guest speakers, which we also have today. We have a combo. We do these sessions every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, and they are free and they are recorded, so you can watch any of our recorded sessions. We've been doing them for about a little over 2 years now, so you can watch and listen to anything we've done previously. Like I said, this morning it is Michael's Tech Talk, where he's got some cool stuff to share with us today, so I am going to hand things over to Michael.
All right.
Go ahead, take it over.
Thanks, Krista. Hello, everybody, again to the end of the month, or close thereof. We try to do these the last Wednesday of each month.
And this is a short month.
It's a short month, so we just did one literally 4 weeks ago. It's time for Tech Talk, and for those of you who regularly come in, generally how this works is that I have kind of a guest speaker, an interviewee, somebody who's doing something I think very interesting or innovative, or in this month, somebody I'm jealous of. We'll explain that in a moment. And then we kind of have a talk with them, let them run a demo as we'll be getting this time. And then I usually have a couple of websites and other news information that kind of at the end to wrap things up. So let me futz with my software here and find the right person. This month during the Tech Talk, we have Jason Griffey. Jason, are you there?
I am. Hi, guys.
Hey. So before we kind of send things over to you and let you run your little demo, and we talk about what it is you're going to be showing us today, how about you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
About myself, I am the head of library instruction, library information technology at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and in my copious amounts of free time, I do a number of other things, including I'm a member of the board of directors of LIDA for the ALA. I write a couple of different blogs for the ALA as well, the ALA Tech Source blog. I'm one of the contributors to that. I also run the American Libraries Perpetual Beta blog. I have my own personal blog, and you know, I write a lot and I talk a lot. So.
Yeah, Krista and I here can't relate at all.
Yeah.
So
no, you guys know nothing about it.
So the reason I've got Jason on this month, and I mentioned just a moment ago that I'm a little bit jealous of him, is because he about 6-8 weeks ago, I think, got a new toy. He got a Chrome laptop. They gave out a couple 10,000 of these. I still haven't gotten mine. This is I have applied in various guises. I keep asking for one, and I'm getting real. Every time I hear somebody else got one, I think maybe mine will show up today, and I keep being disappointed when I get home. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just kind of let Jason take over. So what we're going to do is we're going to change presenters here. And, you know, Jason, I've got some questions for you as we go through and things like that, but why don't I just go ahead and let you show us what this thing is and talk about what it does, and I'll kind of interject as we go along.
All right. I'll just give a little kind of brief overview as we go. Like I said, yeah, certainly stop me. Is the video coming through okay on your end now?
Yep, there will be a little bit of a delay, so I would just say just
Sure.
keep going, and it'll work as well as it does with the video.
You got it. All right. Well, so what you're looking at now is the keyboard of the laptop. The laptop itself is a pretty simple machine. Google made these in clearly a sort of a mass-produced sort of way. There's no markings on it at all. It's just a black slab of plastic, more or less. The laptop itself is very much kind of a netbook in what it has inside it. It has a very low-powered processor. It has a 16 gigabyte solid-state memory. There's no hard drive inside it. As far as kind of the connections and ports and such, the thing's only got, it's got a VGA port. It has one USB port. It has an audio port for your headphones, and it has an SD card reader. That's it. Very, very simple. It's basically a couple of microchips, a keyboard, a battery, and a screen. There's very little going on here. The kind of selling point, they're not selling them, the kind of reason that Google is exploring this is to push their Chrome operating system. This is the first notebook designed with the Chrome operating system in mind, and the Chrome operating system is pretty simply the Chrome browser, and well, that's really all. It's a computer that is kind of underlying, windowed system. This doesn't run Linux in the kind of sense that most people think of running Linux. It doesn't run Windows. It doesn't run, OS X by Mac. It runs Chrome, and that's all it does. It's a pretty interesting kind of experiment by Google, largely because it's such a different kind of computing experience. It took me about 2 weeks of using the thing daily before I was able to wrap my head around how it is that you do how it is that you do computing when it's just a browser and that's all you have. The metaphor is completely different. So I thought, it's really an interesting kind of experience. I do think that it has some legs. I think that we'll see more of these moving. Physically, they've changed a few things about the computer. The glare is a little bad on this, but one of the things that people have harped on is that the venerable caps lock key that no one actually likes and no one really should use ever is missing.
We were just commenting on that at this end, saying that no one should ever have a caps lock key anymore.
No, caps lock should just go away, and Google has used the space for effectively a search key. When you hit it, you open a tab into a search box. They also have done away with, in the kind of Windows world, and Mac to some degree, the traditional kind of function keys, F1 through F12, across the top. Instead, you have a series of dedicated keys that do things like move you from tab to tab, that move you from window desktop to desktop would be a more appropriate metaphor, or reload key to reload the existing tab, a couple of brightness keys, and then volume keys. But there's no kind of function key to this particular machine. As far as physically, it's a nice keyboard, but it takes a little while to get used to. Let me boot it up and show you guys. There we go. So I'm going to turn it on. It's currently off. It's completely powered off. So let's see. I don't know if you want to time this, but let's see how long it takes to get to a state where I can use it. It averages about 5 to 8 seconds. Okay, so then that gets me to the login screen. So that comes to a login screen. I can log in here. It takes me longer to type my password than it does to boot, really.
Well, that shows you have a good password.
Yes. So this is logging into my
quick
account.
Question while you're...
Sure.
Okay, yeah, quick question while you're logging in there. So we saw your smiling visage there on the screen. Where did that come from? Is something you customized? Where did it figure out your picture?
That is actually when you, there are two kind of things there. One is when you first boot the machine, it prompts you for to take a picture of yourself as your image. It does have a camera and a small microphone at the very top of the screen there where I'm pointing. So I cheated and hacked it a little bit in order to get the picture that I wanted there. So I actually did a little bit of manual hacking to make that happen. So, but yes, by default, you take a picture with the camera the first time that you create an account on the machine. So, and the accounts are actually an interesting. That's something that again makes this different from kind of traditional laptops. This is, in every sense of the word, a Google machine. If you don't have a Google account, this machine does you literally no good. You can't even get into it without a Google account. Really. It does have what's called a guest mode where you can log in without having any kind of credentials and use the machine. But to really use it in any kind of full capacity and needs you to have a Google account. So if you are wary of Google and have not yet been taken over by the Google, it will be less useful. The system would be less useful than it might be. So this is the computer. This is it. It's a browser with tabs. There's no windows. I can't minimize this and move it around the screen. I can't have more than one window open on the same desktop. If I want multiple browser instances open, I can do that. So create a new browser window, but in order to get from one to the other, I have to switch from desktop to desktop. There's no having multiple windows open and layered on top of each other like there is in what we think of as a traditional graphic user interface operating system. If you've used Chrome at all on the desktop, it's Chrome. There is effectively zero difference between this and any other kind of interface as far as Chrome goes for the desktops. I joked with someone when they asked me what I thought about it. I said, well, if you want to see what it's like to run the Chrome notebook, if you want to see what having a CR48 is like, just load Chrome on your laptop, make it, maximize it, and then never. And that would be pretty much exactly what this is like. So, do you have anything that particularly that you wanted to see, Michael?
Well, okay, just based on the screen near there, and I'll give full disclosure. I pretty much live in Chrome, the browser myself. So a lot of these are pretty loaded questions. But okay, so I'm used to a browser, but I see this screen you're on here, and the quality is a little low just because of the software. But it looks like it says apps. What are you looking at right now?
Yeah, this is the default kind of new tab in Chrome. And again, like you said, if you use Chrome on the desktop, the same functionality exists. But Google is trying to build a very Apple-like experience where instead of having apps in the kind of iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad sense, instead what you have are web apps, which more or less are just kind of easy-to-use shortcuts to web pages. Some of these are very, very complicated web pages. They're very, very kind of rich experience web pages built using HTML5 and CSS3 and some really kind of future tech as far as the web goes. Things like Aviary, and which is a photo editor, a really quite good photo editor that's all web-based. A few of the games are very well done. Entanglement is a game that is completely HTML-based, very slick kind of experience as far as the app goes. But these a really fancy shortcut page. Google is referring to them as apps because that's kind of the way they want people to think about them. When they put this in the hands of average consumers, that is not the, like you said, 10,000 people that are drooling for them. They want to have as easy to use an experience as possible, and framing this in the form of an app store is a pretty good one. You can actually go, you should be able to go, I just clicked on the web store link, and that'll take us over to the Chrome Web Store where we can choose and install apps. If I choose an app and install an app, it then becomes a part of that default page, that app launcher kind of page. So it makes it very easy to keep track of the sorts of apps that you use on a frequent basis.
Okay, so we have a question from the audience that came in, but I think I want to ask one first, and then we'll ask that one. So, okay,
sure.
I want to do some word processing. I want to work on a spreadsheet. How am I doing that in a browser?
Yep. You're doing that using an online tool, and given that this is a Google Notebook, you're probably going to want to use the Google Docs. Although it does support, they don't limit it in any way. It's not like you're locked out of other options. There are obviously other ways that you can do word processing on the web, but given that it is a Google browser running on Google hardware connected to your Google account, it makes it very easy to simply go to Google Docs. As a matter of fact, one of the should be on here. Yeah, Google Docs. The launcher for Google Docs, as far as the App Store is concerned, if I click that, it takes me over to my Google Docs. Google Docs runs beautifully inside of Chrome, as you would expect, given, again, that it's all Google products. I do 99.9% of all of the writing that I do in Google Docs, all of my blog posts, all of my, both of the books that I've written, all of my, any magazine articles, my library technology report, all of that stuff. I wrote in Google Docs and then transferred to someone else or to somewhere else to do kind of final formatting and things. But Google Docs works beautifully if all you're doing is kind of, pumping out words on a page.
Okay, Jason, that's cool. So basically it's the same Google Docs that you've always used before, but just now it's on this laptop, yeah. Via the laptop. Our question we have is from Karen Meyer, who's one of our librarians here in Nebraska at Bayreuth Public Library. And she wants to know, so you can't save any pictures or PDFs unless you save something in Google Docs?
That's a good. I think that is actually what Google wants to happen eventually. The system does have, as much as they try very hard to hide all of the kind of underpinnings of the computer, there's no file system really. There is a what I call kind of a modal file system. When a web page, something on the web, attempts to give your computer a file, it does have storage space for that, and it does give you a dialog for downloads. And I'll open that now just so that you can see what that looks like. So popped up there. It's probably too small for you to read, but this is the download kind of area. Any file that you download goes here. You can right-click, or you can click on the little arrow to delete them. If you click on something that it doesn't know how to handle, so for instance, this is an unknown file type. This is actually a Word file that I was playing with. If I click it, nothing happens because it doesn't know how to handle a Word file natively in the kind of the underlying operating system. However, the file is there, and if I have a web app that wants it, right, that says, hey, give me a file, it will then present me with this list of files, and I can upload that file somewhere else. So, as an example, I could download a photo from Flickr. It would go into this download area that I can't actually do anything with. And then if I wanted to upload that photo to Facebook, I could go to Facebook, and then when I toggle the, upload a photo button, Chrome then presents me with this list of things that it happens to have in this secret pocket, and then I can pull one of those things out and upload it. That make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. And could you not, in theory, I really don't know the answer to this question, save something or load something up off of the SD card slot?
Yes, it does. The SD card and the USB both support kind of file manipulation. If you have either of those things plugged in, when the call comes to the operating system that says, hey, I need a file, then it presents you with those as choices. It just says, USB or SD card, I think, and then you can browse by using that catalog. So, yeah, you can get things off of SD cards, off of USB, but again, unless you're giving it to the web, you have to give it to something. You can't really do anything with it natively.
Okay, great.
Hey, we have another question from the group. We have actually here a group of our commission staff that get together in a separate meeting room and watch our sessions. So a question from them, so I don't know exactly who it is, but they say they use a PC at work and Apple at home. Why should I learn yet another system, i.e. what makes it worth my time to do that? Which I think also goes along with the question I was just thinking of is why does Google have this laptop? What are they wanting to do with it?
What's the point?
The point? Yeah, I guess that might be really the question is what's the point?
No, I think that is really I'm not sure that anyone really has a great answer yet, but I can tell you how I have found that it fits into my computing, right? I have a PC at work, I have a Mac at home, and what has happened over the course of the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks is that the fact that I had this computer, this CR48, almost kind of very sneakily made me want to move from Firefox on both of those other platforms over to Chrome full time. And then because Google has Chrome Sync, which allows you to use any of the platforms, whether it be the PC, the dedicated Chrome laptop, the Mac, whatever, and all of your instances of Chrome. So I can work in Chrome on my PC at work, and then I can go home and I can work in Chrome on my Mac at home, and then when I need to go out, when I travel, when I go to a conference or anything like that, I can grab the CR48 and know that all of the passwords are synced, all of my bookmarks are synced, all of my extensions, any kind of special extensions that I've installed are synced. All of that is just there, and it just works. That's a pretty cool kind of use case. The other kind of reason is because this machine doesn't have any real overhead, there's not a lot of processing going on, it lasts forever. I took this was the only laptop that I took to ALA midwinter, and I literally never had to carry a power cord with me. This thing will last working with wireless and everything for 8 to 10 hours with no problem.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah, so I could.
It's up in the cloud. It's not on the actual machine itself.
That's right.
So
yeah, everything is cloud-based. So you're not having to deal with, I mean, it does to some degree take a little bit of the concern out of the way. You're not dealing with having, I never have to back this machine up. You know, I never have to worry about viruses on this machine. I never have to worry about updating anything. It does it all in the background via the cloud. When you boot, it does any updates that it needs to do automatically. It does MD5 hash checks on the operating systems. It repairs itself automatically. So there, you know, it's about as dummy-proof as a computer can get. Now, the limitation is, of course, you only get what you get. I can't install Photoshop. If I need Microsoft Word, I am just out of luck as far as the full kind of Office suite is concerned. But for 90% of the things that I do, they're probably in a browser, and I was able to get along pretty well with this as my only laptop at a conference. It really worked very, very well.
Well, I got to say that's pretty much why I'm jealous of one of these things. And if I can take a stab at that question, I'm not sure how well I can articulate this, but the almost asking Windows versus Mac versus this almost isn't the right question, because as much as this is called the Chrome OS, it almost isn't an operating system. It's a browser. And so it's maybe, why should I use Chrome instead of Internet Explorer or Firefox? Yeah. But
I think that's a good. That's a really good metaphor, because it's not. I mean, it's almost an anti-operating system. It doesn't even attempt to be an operating system. It's not like it fails as an operating system. That's just not even really a question.
Okay, we got one or two other questions that have come through, but I think something you just said in the kind of limitations to this raises a question for me. I've been having connectivity issues at home over the weekend. Pretty much this 3-day weekend, I had almost no internet connection. So let's say I had this laptop and I've got no internet connection. How up a crick am I? I mean, how well does this work without Wi-Fi? I mean, I couldn't get to my Google Docs. Does this machine work without a connection? I guess is my question.
Yeah. That's a really good one. I was going to mention that earlier, and I just skipped past it. There are kind of two pieces to that. One is that Google has done pretty much everything they can to ensure that you're never without a connection. One, obviously, it runs over Wi-Fi and connects to Wi-Fi hotspots and all that sort of thing. But it also has a cellular chip in it and connects to the Verizon 3G network. So you can, in addition to obviously connecting to free Wi-Fi spots, if you are out and on the road, and you can connect to the Verizon cellular network and get connectivity that way. As a matter of fact, because we have had some local Wi-Fi problems here over this morning, all of the stuff that I just showed was running on the Verizon 3G. This machine is currently running on the Verizon network, not on Wi-Fi. So that's one answer. The other answer is that Google has said that they will be fully implementing the HTML5 caching abilities on the machine, so that you will actually have local web services running your things like Google Docs. So Docs will actually live locally in an HTML5 cached sort of way. Now, all of that said, that's not here yet. And if I don't have Wi-Fi and I don't have 3G connectivity, this thing might as well be a Frisbee.
Right buttons. Okay. Another question?
Yeah, we have another question from one of the people on the line. Can you print with it? Can you print to somewhere? And I suppose how?
That is an awesome question.
I
Yeah,
hadn't even
'cause
thought of that.
there's no drivers, right? There's no how do you tell it what you want to do. And Google solves that one through something called Google Cloud Print. And if you haven't seen this, if anyone uses Chrome and they haven't kind of looked into Google Cloud Print, it actually works for a lot of kind of random uses that aren't just the Google laptop. But effectively, what happens is, sorry about that.
Effectively, your phone rings.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Thought I had that muted. So, anyway, so Google Cloud Print will basically allow you on a Windows PC right now, and they're building it for Mac. On a Windows PC, you have your version of Chrome, and you give it your Google credentials and say, I really want to turn on Google Cloud Print. That version of Chrome then sees your Chrome notebook or any other version of Chrome that you're using and allows you to print to that computer wirelessly anywhere you happen to be. So I have the Google Cloud Print service set up on my PC here at work, and anywhere I happen to be, I can print using Cloud Print from my laptop. So see. And this may or may not work because, yeah, so you'll see, so if I hit Control P on the laptop, it brings up a Google Cloud Print dialog, and I can choose any of the printers that are attached to my computer back at work and hit print, and it prints across the network through the computer.
Yeah, I've tried playing with this myself. I haven't got it to work yet, but I will admit I haven't tried very hard either. So,
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's back up just a little because Krista kind of pointed out to me that maybe we should have started with this. So, how did you get this? What is the point of you having it? I mean, is Google expecting anything of you by giving you this? Because I'll just throw in here, he didn't pay for it. And then we do have a question from Clara in our audience asking, okay, when can she get one and how much is it going to cost?
Yeah, Google has not announced any sort of pricing. They have said that this is effectively beta hardware. They made a few thousand of them and they gave them out, some randomly, some to people who I guess asked very nicely, which is how I got it. I asked one of their press contacts for it very, very nicely, and evidently they thought, why not? This guy isn't crazy, and we'll give him one. Not that I'm implying you're crazy, Michael, of course. But but there hasn't been any announcement as far as when Google would be providing anything. Now, they have said that are going to be producing hardware in the first half of 2011. So sometime in the next few months, we should see some announcements coming from people like Samsung, who are building hardware specifically for the Chrome operating system. As far as pricing, again, nobody has really said anything about pricing. But I think, given the current state of the hardware world and the computing world, it's going to be pretty hard for them to sell this unless it is very inexpensive. If I can pick up a full Windows 7 laptop for $350 or $400, something like this, which is very single-use, directed at one use case, I think they're going to have a hard time selling it unless it's around the $100 or $150 mark, frankly. It'll have to be under $200 for them to really gain any ground on this thing. So if I was going to guess, and that's some of what I do. I would guess that the first Chrome notebooks are going to be under $200, and we'll probably see in the next 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, I'll be in line if it's sub 200. And if it's sub 150, I'll be camping out, I think. But well, and you have to think about it. It really is basically hardware with some free software loaded on top of it. You don't have to pay for Windows or pay for Mac OS. And you're absolutely right with the sub $400 full-blown notebooks, netbooks, at least with on the Windows side of things.
Yeah.
So I would kind of agree with the pricing, and I'm anxiously waiting myself. So one of the other things, there was this video that Google put out kind of explaining how this works. I remember watching it. And correct me if I'm wrong, or fill me in a little bit on this. You could log out of this, hand it to me, and then I can log in under my Google account and completely have access to everything I have and nothing that you have. Is that accurate?
That is absolutely accurate. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and log out. So that was signing out. I'll sign out just to show kind of how the swap would happen. So if I sign out, I could hand it to you. You could click the little add a user there. You could enter your Google account, and it would suck down all of your Google information and give you your Chrome experience just like you were setting at your desktop at work. In addition, it does have a guest mode, and if I log in as a guest, which anyone could do, obviously, then it's going to give me a incognito mode Chrome browser. So this is a way actually to browse and to use the system with no tracking of what you're searching for, no browser history, no search history, no cookies, none of that. All of that is a completely anonymous way to use the machine. So so you could do that, and then when I exit guest mode, it actually does a full reboot, wipes everything, and makes sure that I'm not going to see anything that the guest wouldn't want me to see.
Well, and that kind of experience kind of brings me back to the Windows Mac sort of thing. And at least I don't know Macs at all, but in the Windows world, if you're on a single network, you can have like what's called a roaming profile, so that no matter what computer you sit down at, you get the same experience. But that wouldn't carry over to, say, going home. Whereas this one, basically, if you're running Chrome or just ultimately Chrome OS, you log in, you have your experience, regardless of the hardware that you're sitting in front of.
Yep, that is completely correct. And that's actually one of the reasons that I was so interested in testing this out, is here at UTC, this past semester, actually, we just moved all of our students over to Gmail for the student email service. So instead of locally hosted email, as we had been doing it in the past with all of our students, we've got about 10,000, give or take, students here at UTC. We outsourced that to Google and using Google Apps for Education. So the students now have, instead of logging into a local email server, they log into a branded Gmail, and they get Google Docs and Google Mail and Google Calendar and all of that stuff as a part of their branded experience. I think it's a really interesting idea for quick use computers for students who are comfortable with this world, having some Chrome OS systems where, as you said, they just sit down. It doesn't matter what computer they're on. It doesn't matter where they are. It doesn't matter what's going on. They log in, and all of their stuff automatically kind of comes up, and it just works. So that's ultimately what I think. I think that there's a lot of use kind of workstations now. It does tie you to Google, and a lot of libraries and librarians have some problems with that. So with that caveat said, it's a pretty slick system for providing public use computers.
We have another question from the audience from Juanetta wants to know if there's a fee for a Google account or a fee for the Verizon Connection capabilities.
Good call. No, there's no fee for a Google account. The Verizon connection does cost. Google is providing for the CR48s, and they have not been clear about what they're doing with other Chrome OS machines. So as they come out, this will be interesting to see how it happens. But for these, there are 100 megabytes a month for free. So not much. You're not going to be streaming. You're not going to be streaming HD videos on YouTube for very long with that. But it will easily get you through your email and through some Google searches and a little bit of research. So it's a very small base level of connectivity for free. After that, there's no contract, there's no ongoing commitment, but you can buy bandwidth in chunks. So you can buy a gigabit of bandwidth, 2 gigabits, 5 gigabits of bandwidth for a certain amount, and then just use it until it goes away.
Great. I'll kind of add a little bit on the Google account. I mean, at this point, if you have a Gmail, if you've logged into, if you have a YouTube account, I mean, you probably already have a Google account. You just may not realize it.
Yeah. Yes. That's your Google.
So, Krista, do you have any other questions? That covers it for. Is there Jason? Anything else you want to show or tell us about it? Okay, we talked about, it's a Google world, and you might not have connectivity. Any other downsides you see? Anything you've run into?
Yeah, there is the occasional moment where I have had a couple of moments where I've been like, I need to do this thing, this operation, this computing endeavor, and I just couldn't figure out a way to make it happen on this machine because for whatever reason my brain is so used to, again, kind of windowed file system metaphors that it took kind of breaking that to get to the point where I could understand how this new paradigm works. So it is a little confusing at first. I found it confusing.
Not to
worked. Go ahead.
Not to necessarily put you on the spot, but could you give us an example of one of those?
Yeah, I was trying to think. A lot of it has had to do with like needing to make a change to a file, like there's no real way to do something like annotate a PDF, like that. That doesn't come up for everyone every day, but it does come up for me, not infrequently. So I just could not figure out a good way to annotate a PDF and then send it to someone on this machine. So there's one.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was I would be able to do pretty quickly on another machine was one that I couldn't really do on here. Google has tried very hard to make this to kind of explain the metaphor. One of my favorite functions, I'll just show you a couple of real quick things, is they actually have a keyboard overlay that you can turn on, and then when you hold down a control key or an alt key or a shift key, it shows you what the various key combinations do, which I think is just really cool.
Yeah, no, I hadn't seen that feature before. I had no idea about that one. So do we have our Control C for copy and Control V for paste? Is that pretty standard at this point?
Yep. Yep. All of the things that you would think are standard. Control N for new window, Control T for new tab, Control C for copy, control of those kinds of things that you kind of expect are there, but they do have a couple of hidden ones that they don't show off as often. Like, let me see. There we go. So this is one that is only really kind of exciting for geeks. Control-Alt-T gets you to a terminal screen. So from here, you can actually SSH to a server somewhere and do literally keyboard terminal-based server stuff. This is not something that they advertise. I don't even think that this is on the keyboard shortcuts. Now that I say it, no. That particular keyboard combination is not even something that they show on the shortcut screen. Some enterprising hacker somewhere discovered it and then showed it online. So you can actually get to a terminal screen, which for some of us geeky types is really kind of cool.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that either. I'll also throw out, I've heard that there's a switch hiding somewhere like underneath the battery where if you flip that, you can actually install whatever operating system you want on the hardware.
Yeah, they have there's a hardware switch that effectively controls the signed version of the operating system. So you have kind of a developer mode switch. If you go under the battery and move a little piece of tape and then flip a switch, it kind of turns off all of the security checks and does allow you to hack away at the hardware as much as you want. There are people who have put OS X on this machine, and I've seen several Linux variants installed on it. So the hardware itself is capable of more than just running Chrome if you want it to. But.
Cool. Well, we don't seem to have any other questions from the audience, and you've answered pretty much all of mine. Is there anything else you want to say to kind of wrap this up?
No, I mean I'm really pretty pleased with it so far. It helps, of course, that it was free, but I think that I would have been equally pleased if it was in the price range that I mentioned. I would pay $200 for this if they can produce it at that cost. I would all at that for those kinds of costs. It's a very useful, interesting experiment as far as computing goes. And if anybody is going to be at any of the major library conferences in the next year or so, you'll probably see me toting it around. So if you want to get some get some hands-on with it, feel free to come on over and ask. I'll be at Computers and Libraries later in March, and then of course ALA Annual in the summer. So.
Well, and thank you for that lead-in, because I wanted to state for the record that if this does disappear at Computers and Libraries, I had nothing to do with it.
I'll be watching you. Okay,
all right, probably fair enough. So, all right, Jason, I want to thank you very much for this. I know we had some back and forth to get you scheduled. Thank you for finding some time to be able to share this with us. And all the effort you got to hook up some cameras there so you could actually show us the machine working and that.
No problem.
So I'm going to go ahead and take control back of the presentation. Jason, just thank you again very much. You're welcome to hang out. I just got a couple other things that I want to tell folks about, and actually some of them are Google related. So if you got a comment, just raise your hand and we'll happily turn your mic back on. So let's just take a second here, and we're going to switch this back over. And we're going to show my screen clean. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so I kind of planned this month to not have a lot of specific things to talk about after the fact, because I keep seeing they're running out of time.
You just keep getting people interviewed.
I get really interested in people, yes. Yeah, so really short here, and by the way, I am running Chrome just because I felt I had to for this. Not the Chrome operating system, but the Chrome browser here. And we do have a link to Jason's homepage if you're interested in more about what he does. And I do also have a link to the Chrome OS webpage where they as far as I know, they are still accepting applications to get one of these things.
You might get lucky.
If you get one of these because of this show and I still don't get one, I'm going to be a little cranky about that. Okay, so let me just talk about these 4 or 5 other things that I have real quick for you here. This first one is Google rolls out 2-step verification to help protect your account. Now, many of you know that I seem to always keep talking about security issues on this show, but they're pretty darn important. Yeah. And one of the things Google has just rolled out as of February 10th is what's known as a 2-step authentication process for Gmail if you want it. Now, I'm assuming that this will eventually move to any level of a Google account. And as far as I know, I'm not sure I even have this feature yet. They're kind of rolling it out. But most security basically is based on something you know, like your username and your password. You know your password, therefore it assumes you typed it incorrectly, it must be you. 2-factor authentication is usually based on something you know and something you have. And Krista, I know you do this for WoW. This is very similar to this for World of Warcraft. Basically what you can do if you want is you can set up your Gmail account so that you type in your username and your password, and then you set up your cell phone number in there. And when you get to that step, you can have it either text you or call you on your cell phone and read you a code that you have to type in before you actually get into your account.
It's an extra level of authentication. Yes.
So basically you know your password and you have your cell phone. So the idea is you generally probably, if somebody steals your password, they probably don't have your cell phone. Right. Somebody has your cell phone, they probably don't have your password. I'm not sure I'm actually going to turn this on. Jason has just commented to us that he is using 2-step authentication. So very good. Jason, I was wondering if you were doing that. So this article I've linked to does point where you would find this in your Google account settings. It may not be there yet. If it is, you can take advantage of it. I'm not necessarily recommending this. I'm not saying everybody should, but I wanted to make everybody aware of the fact that it is coming. And Jason is also adding, thank you very much, that it is working now for all Google properties, not just Gmail. So there you go. We're going to stick with security here for a second. 2 other things, one specific to Chrome and one specific to Facebook. Okay. Chrome has apps, as Jason talked about, and you don't have to have the Chrome laptop to use a Chrome app. You just have to be running the Chrome browser. And one of these new apps that I found that's security related is called Secure Sites. And I've installed this on my copies of Chrome, not on this one that we're using here temporarily. And what it does is if I go to a website that has a secure version available, so HTTPS instead of HTTP, it will alert me. Okay? And then what I can do is I can click on the icon, which is this little triangle with an exclamation point there. It would show up in my address bar if it was available. I can then say, okay, well, from this point forward, whenever I go to this website, please connect me securely instead of connect me where somebody could basically figure out what I'm doing if they knew about it. It's especially good if you're on Wi-Fi. Use this carefully. Okay. I found certain websites where there is a secure site, a secure version available, but by making it always secure, you end up breaking other parts of the website, and it doesn't always work.
This is similar to the one that's a plugin on Firefox, a secure plug.
Yes, yeah. There was. Yeah, that's right. A couple of months ago, we talked about a Firefox version.
Because I use that, and it broke something which isn't necessary, but it's fun. When Google at google.com does their makes their logo something interesting for a birthday or an event, I discovered the hard way when they did the one for Jules Verne when you could control that I couldn't see it. It was not a secure site to see the Google Doodle. So everyone was talking about this cool thing. I go to google.com and I'm like, I don't see anything. I see the regular Google, and so I had to turn it off, and then it worked. So that's a simple thing, but that's an example. You never know what it might be blocking you from seeing, and you don't even realize.
Yeah, I've gotten to some sites though where you go to the home page and it says, "Oh, great, there's a secure version." You set this up so it's always the secure version, and then you get further into the site, and suddenly, like, it just breaks. I mean, like, okay, the Google thing, yes, that's a breaking, yeah, but it's relatively minor. I mean, this means the site doesn't work anymore.
Right, yeah, that's just an entertaining thing.
If you are going to play with this, read the instructions so you know how to turn it off. Because I've turned it on a bunch of sites and had to go back and turn it off again. So just something there. Related to this, what this is all going back to is a couple months ago when I did the whole talk about I've forgotten the name of it. The plugin for Firefox to let people snoop on what you were doing over Wi-Fi.
The sheep thing.
Firesheep, yes. One of the big problems was Facebook. Mm-hmm. Well, Facebook now has a setting that you can go into your Facebook account, and this article that's coming up will give you the instructions on how to do this, to always go to Facebook using HTTPS, how to always log into Facebook securely. Mm-hmm. Okay. This, I am telling you right now, you should go in and turn on if you are a Facebook user, with one catch. Okay, first of all, turn it on. But what I found, I don't use Facebook all the time, okay? But when I do use it, I pay attention to what's going on. And there are some times where, okay, I've set this up. I always get secure connections to Facebook. And then I go to add an application to my Facebook account. Mm-hmm. Like somebody invites me to some game or something. Mm-hmm. And then I get this wonderful screen that says, this will not install while you're connected securely. Oh. Click here to connect unsecurely. So I click here. Mm-hmm. I'm now unsecure. The app installs, but it doesn't put me back to secure.
So you have to remember.
I have to remember to go back to this setting and turn it on again. So this could be one of those things where you find that just enough annoying to not want to do this.
Depends on how many apps you use. And
how many apps you use, how often you're doing it over open Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And it's how often you're installing an app. You may already have everything installed that you ever will use. It mostly will use, so you're good. You don't need to install something new.
But, to be honest, I would say everybody listening to this, go turn it on. If you need to turn it off later, fine. But I would by default turn this on and then only decide if it becomes annoying.
The more safe you are, the better.
Yes, yeah. Start from safe. Yeah. Okay, two other quick things. Won't go into these in too much detail. This one here is the HTML5 test. Jason mentioned, not intentionally, he didn't know about this, that the Google Chrome browser supports HTML5. This is kind of the next version of HTML that's coming out. It's adding a lot of cool new features. Basically, this site will allow you to test your browser on a scale of, I think, 1 to 300, how well your browser supports these new functionalities of HTML5. I ran a blog post when I found out about this. I think Chrome was scoring in like the 280s. Firefox was scoring in, I think, the 190s or something like this. And Internet Explorer was in like below 100. So, you can be surprised about that if you want, but it wasn't surprising to me at all. Now, IE9, which is coming out very soon, Internet Explorer 9 did actually score a lot better. Yeah. So, it's getting there. And last but not least, highly technical, but we've technically run out of IP addresses.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I could spend a whole hour just on this topic. I'm not going to. You can read that article if you want. Basically, here's what I would like you to suggest everybody do. Start talking to your internet service provider and say, do you support Internet Protocol version 6 yet? And if not, when are you going to?
Because you're going to need to.
Because they're going to need to. And it's happening. We are going to have to move to this new version of the Internet Protocol. Those are the IP addresses that we're talking about. It goes from version 4, which supported like 4.5 billion, to the next version, IPv6, supports something like 3 billion addresses per square inch of the planet or something like this. I mean, it's just the number is too huge for me to even figure out what the number is. And
in 5 years we'll use those up.
No, well, I don't know. Now Vince Cerf takes the blame for this. He says, back in the 70s, it seemed like 4.5 billion addresses were going to be enough.
It probably, of course.
But we're in like past the quintillions. It's in this next one. So something for the more technical of you in the audience, you might want to start paying attention to and start bugging your ISPs and saying, hey, how's our IPv6 support coming along? If you're on a campus, bug your IT people. I'm sure they'll love you for it. That sort of thing. Just something to keep your eyes on, something you might want to start asking people about. So, hey, we got through all my 5 things. So there we go. Woohoo! All right, it happens.
Okay.
Okay, any other outstanding questions or anything from the audience floating around out there?
Nothing that I see. Anybody have anything you want to ask, comments, questions before we wrap up for the morning?
Well, I can't say I don't have somebody scheduled for next month yet. I have to work on that. Oh, sorry. I know. And there's a reason why we don't have anybody scheduled for the next month, and I will shut up now and let Krista take over.
That's okay. Actually, if you want to switch to the NCompass Live website.
Switch to the NCompass Live website. We did not preload that.
No, that's okay.
There we go.
Look, that's how you find us. You can search NCompass Live in Google, and there we are. We're the only one. So we hope Jason says thanks. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Jason.
thank you, Jason, once again. I really appreciate it.
So that's it for today. We hope you'll join us next week when we have Sally Snyder, who's the coordinator of children and young adult library services here at the Commission, who's going to be talking about this year's summer reading program, 2011, One World, Many Stories. Which is the children's theme, and You Are Here, which is the teen theme. She's going to talk about, do some book talks on both of those for you. And Michael's next Tech Talk, which you can see there, is actually end of March, technically second to last one, but live from computers and libraries. He will be there, and where Jason said he will be. So that will be his next one, which is why he doesn't have a speaker schedule.
I have to get to conference and then find speakers to join me. Yes.
And then harass people. So if you're out there and you're going to be in computers and librarians, look for him.
Jason, consider yourself warned.
Invited.
Invited.
We did the same thing last year for Internet Librarian, where he collected a bunch of librarian friends of ours who were attending to talk about what they were doing at the conference and what they saw and sessions they attended and interesting things. So doing that again.
And people won't have to start at 7 a.m. this time.
No, we're in the other direction.
We're going to the East Coast.
Yes, Washington, D.C. So, yeah, then I wake up early. Okay, so looks like we haven't had anything come in while we've been chatting here. So thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.